Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Lily Allen Duenas. Together, we'll talk about the world of yoga and we'll talk to people from around the world. Join us for authentic conversations about the global yoga ecosystem, and we'll cover yoga philosophies and methodologies along the way. Inhale, exhale. We're about to dive in. Welcome, welcome, welcome to episode 8 of the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. Today I welcome Ksenia Rasapriya Bodhi. She is from Russia, and she actually lives the majority of her years, though, in Rishikesh. I met her in Rishikesh, so it's always wonderful to get to welcome a personal friend here onto the show. So I'll tell you a little bit about Ksenia. She began her yoga journey in 2009, and then she became a yoga teacher in 2014. She's the founder of Yogatoursindia. It's a small company whose mission it is to provide authentic yoga knowledge to every Russian-speaking practitioner. So each year she hosts yoga retreats and yoga teacher training courses in India, and she actually opened a yoga school of traditional yoga and Vedanta called Yoga Vidya School in Rishikesh with her husband, Prashant Jakhmola. So she spends the majority of each year in Rishikesh, as I mentioned, but she has taught internationally in the Maldives, China, India, Nepal, Russia, and in parts of Europe as well. So as you can see, she is, just such a special teacher to have on the show today. So thank you so much, Ksenia, for being here with me today.
Namaste, Lily. I'm very honored to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me on such interesting and useful podcast.
Thank you. So would you mind starting just telling our listeners a little bit about where you're from?
Yeah, originally I'm from Russia, and I was born and raised in Moscow. It's western part of Russia, so it's close to Europe. So we have access for European countries, and our culture is more westernized. Still, we have lots of culture and lots of connection with India. Actually, from very early age, I noticed that even our ancient religion before Christianity is so much close to Indian religion, as we had many gods and we believed in spirits of nature, such as spirit of a forest or spirit of lake, maybe, or some pond. And we believed in gods of sun and god of the moon. So from childhood, I was inclined to Indian culture, I can say so. That was a connection, I think, the first link between Russia and India.
Oh, that's fascinating. I hadn't realized that the deep, deep roots of the ancient kind of old religion in Russia, pre-Christianity, you recognize elements of Hinduism in there. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's very interesting and fascinating to find this connection. Even if you know something about Ayurveda, so Ayurveda is the ancient science of life. And in Ayurveda, we know about doshas, and we usually heal people by using oils and herbs. So in Russia, in ancient Russia, and even till nowadays, we use lots of herbs and oils instead of modern medicine. And common people, they prefer to buy herb rather than buy pill and use it.
I'm glad that in Russia still today, people are interested in those homeopathic remedies, because when we can steer clear of the chemicals and put a little bit more of what nature naturally can give us to heal, that warms my heart knowing that. So I would like to dive in a little bit now, if you're ready, to talk about yoga. I would love to know, Ksenia, how yoga first came into your life.
Oh, thank you for this question. That was a very beautiful experience. I was just I could say a common person I was working in media. I was trying to build my career in Moscow. I have a degree in marketing. So I was kind of, you can say that I was a very office-oriented girl. But at the same time, I had a spirit of traveling and trying to go for something broader, bigger, to find out who we are, what is the reason behind all this, And one day it was just a present, I think, gift for me. I used to go to one fitness center, and one day our coach, she was sick, and there was no option but rather than go for yoga. And I didn't know what is yoga. I didn't hear even the word yoga before that day. I had no idea what is yoga. So I came to the class, and it was full, and we were doing different postures. And I noticed that within 5 minutes, I was the only one in this among all these people who was smiling like crazy and so happy, because I was thinking, wow, what is this? This is what I couldn't even imagine. That was a very beautiful moment. I felt it was like I'm finally I found the right place where to be, and the connection with the body, connection with the breath. Immediately, it came to me like it was like before, like I remembered, but I forgot. Something strange. It was very beautiful. And the next day, I went to the yoga studio. I bought abonnement for 1 year, and I started going for yoga. I think at that time it was almost daily, like every second day I used to go.
I can absolutely relate to that sensation of feeling like you are remembering something you've forgotten in a yoga class. I felt very similar during my first class as well, and I hadn't heard about it. I had no idea. It was at a gym, even just a gym in California, but I felt immediately like I was remembering something I'd forgotten or connecting to something I knew, but had lost. And it's just such a bizarre, strange, but so spiritual experience.
Yes, isn't it beautiful? I remember that when I told this story to my teacher, he said that actually Krishna was teaching in Bhagavad Gita that anyone who ever touched yoga in their life, they will never forget this. And in a newborn, the person, once he will come across the yoga again, he can remember actually that the previous experience of yoga in the previous life. It's very beautiful.
It is, and it makes sense too that our karmic it's our karmic experience, or it's our ability to connect to those kind of past lives without consciously connecting to it. It's like the sense of, oh, I've seen that before, or I've been here before, but having no explanation. I think people can write that off pretty quickly, thinking, oh yeah, it's just like I must have seen it on a TV ad or something. I think there's a lot more to those sensations and those feelings that we have of connecting to kind of something subtler, a subtler level.
Yeah, this is a very deep connection. This is a deep samskaras. There are different levels of samskaras. Samskaras are imprints of the mind, of the subtle body. And actually, when we travel from one body to another body, only the subtle body is traveling, right? So in the subtle body, everything is recorded from all previous lives. It doesn't matter. It was a life of a cow, or life of an ant, or life of a human being. All samskaras will be stored there. So when you travel in a new body, it doesn't mean you will remember everything all of a sudden, but some subtle memories, some subtle, touch of something, idea of something, or even our characters, our personalities, they based on this samskaras. So definitely yoga is one of the biggest impact on our human life. Yeah, it gives the biggest impact on the human life. So the samskara, which based on yoga, is the strongest one. So that's why we can feel it immediately once we touch the yoga again.
I'm so glad you brought up Samskaras. I feel very honored that you shared that knowledge with our listeners, because so far in no other episodes have we talked about that. So thank you so much, Ksenia, for bringing that up.
No, we can talk about this.
Yes, we can. I think it's a great time, though, since since we just talked about our past lives a little bit, or talked about the connection to the past lives as a possibility. I would love to ask you the question, how has yoga changed your life?
Oh, it's such a deep question. Um, uh, Hard to answer. It's like tremendously, completely, but at the same time, it didn't change at all. It's like a part of my path. It's supposed to be happening, and it's happening. And yoga, but I can tell how it was evolving, maybe. So when after that day, when I went to yoga, and then I started doing yoga. Then it was going year by year, but it was just asana. It was just physical body yoga. It was very, very basic. Actually, according to scriptures, physical yoga, like asanas, they're not considered even as a yoga. So basically, those who practice asana, they cannot call themselves the yogis or even closer to this. But I was thinking that I'm doing yoga. And I was traveling a lot, and I was doing surfing also. I liked to do surf on the board, like in different countries where you can catch the waves. And I got a good friend who told me, Ksenia, you are a free spirit. Let's go and live a bigger life than Moscow. And she went to Bali, and she became a surf instructor. And she invited me to come with her and open a yoga and surf camp, because I was good in yoga. And I decided, okay, let's try it. But first, I need my certification. So I went to Moscow University of Yoga, and I studied there for 4.5 months. And I got my certificate. And during that period, interesting story happened to me. We were writing different essays, like different works regarding yoga topics. And one of the essay which I wrote was about Swami Shivananda. Maybe you know, Lily, so there is Swami Shivananda headquarter ashram in Rishikesh. Yes, this is the main ashram in India of Swami Shivananda. He started his mission of creating that big impact of yoga all over the world, because nowadays ashrams of Swami Shivananda are everywhere. This is a great person. It's definitely a great master, and he was realized master, and he was master of Advaita Vedanta as well. And he wrote more than 300 books. That's fascinating. And if you look at his roots, he was a doctor. He was very far from something which is mystic or magical, or esoteric. He was very practical person, and he found this his spiritual path in yoga, and he followed it, and he reached enlightenment. So I was writing about him, one article, and I was asking myself, where should I go for my next trip? Because I was planning to go to London or maybe Brazil, or like I was choosing the country. And at the same time, I felt, okay, I've never been in India. I have to go because I'm studying yoga and I'm practicing for so many years. And I even started teaching yoga, but I never visited the country. How is it possible? And that day I was writing the article, and just a phrase just came into my mind, one phrase, simple phrase, go to India. And I knew exactly that it's not my phrase, because I was like, what is this? Who is talking to me? And then I asked myself, but where will I go? I don't know about India. And then the second phrase came, and the second phrase was, where the Ganga starts. So I opened the map, And I looked for a Ganga, and I started watching up, 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 how it goes, yet through from the ocean to Varanasi, and then up, 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 and then I saw Rishikesh. And I never heard about this city before. Can you imagine? And this is how I decided, okay, I will go to Rishikesh. And after a few months, I went. Even so, for me, India was such a country. I thought, if you go to India, you need two bodyguards. You need, I don't know, lots of security, antiseptics, and everything. But within first hour in India, when we were traveling from Delhi to Rishikesh, and you know this road, it's beautiful from one side of you, but for other people, it might look dangerous or maybe even scary because you can see all these piles of garbage, this very, very dirty streets and cows, dogs, cats. Like it's hard for some people. I went with my friend, and my friend she said immediately, "Oh, Ksenia, let's go home. Let's go back to Russia." And I felt like at home. I felt completely fine, comfortable, relaxed, and happy. And once I arrived in Rishikesh, within one day, at the same day, I met most of my friends. Prashant, I met the next day. And the same day, I met the school where I became a teacher after a few months. So it was destined, and this was a turning point, I can say. This is how, answering your question, how yoga changed my life. This is how yoga changed my life, because after this trip, I made a decision not to go to Bali or any other country, and I quit my job, and I came back to India after this trip, just with my luggage and without any deep idea what will be happening. I just trusted, because that school, the manager of that school, his name is Manmohan Singh. At that time, he was a manager of the school. He just invited me. He said, "Let's you just come. We will see. You have a marketing degree. You are a yoga teacher. You will help to develop the school." And I came, and I started working there. Then sooner or later, I became a teacher, and then the story started.
It is amazing how yoga has changed the whole course of your life. Just the path of it, the trajectory of it. Yoga has shaped the course of it. And I agree that when I arrived in India as well, or here, I'll backtrack. When I was little or a teenager, and when I heard about India, it just seemed so bright and colorful, but also very foreign, just almost impossible to imagine going there. And also, when I felt called to go to India, it was very similar to your sensation, that I just remember getting in the taxi. For when I first arrived, I arrived in Delhi, but then I took a flight to Rishikesh. And so then to the Dehradun airport. So then from Dehradun, I took a taxi to Rishikesh. And I just remember smiling from ear to ear, just feeling like I was glowing, just the energy of India. I mean, it's just for our listeners to know, it's not like Delhi. It's not so chaotic. It's not so cramped with cars and noise and people, knocking on your taxi cab window. It's nothing like that. It's in the north, in Himachal Pradesh, or in in Rishikesh or near the Himalayas. It's going to be very, mountainous and more peaceful and a little bit more quiet. You still do get the elements of India, the cows in the street, and a lot of people on the streets as well, but it's at a different level. And for me, that being close to Ganga and being close to just these peaceful mountains, it just felt incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Actually, India has its impact on everyone, but in a very different way. There are people who are terrified, who are scared, who cannot accept the rules or non-existing rules in India. Yeah, the chaos in India. It's very hard for them. And there are absolutely different people like us who find that deeper knowledge, deeper wisdom. And the thing is that how the person is tuned inside, this is what he will find in outside. For example, the India is vibrating with the energy of Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. The Bhakti is a pure love. Yeah, it's complete devotion. When you're not asking question, you're just you're full of trust, you're full of love, and you see all the good outside, inside, everywhere. You see God everywhere. So most of the people, why they're melting in there? Because they feel this bhakti. Every person, most of the people, maybe not everyone, but most of the people in India, they are very great devotees. They full of bhakti. They full of just trust to the universe and to the God. They pray from morning till night. They all the time with just full trust. And that's why they are not fighting with the destiny. If the destiny is hard, if they have to live like maybe even in a poverty, but they accept it because they trust the God. They know that good things will come, and what is coming now, this is also good enough. And the second thing is Jnana Yoga or Jnana Yoga. This is that deep knowledge or the true knowledge. Yes, the Satya, the truth, the absolute truth about the universe, about the God, about Supreme, which India is full of these truths because of the scriptures which you can find still, and because of the teachers which are also existing till now. Then you can go to them, you can find this knowledge. So this energy, it's in the air. The India is vibrating with this energy. So the one who is already tuned with this energy, who is a seeker of this energy, who created that fire inside, Agni, which is calling him or her for that love and for that supreme knowledge, they find it in India. They cannot understand what's going on, maybe at the first few days or even months, but they feel from inside that this is the right place. Oh, I will find the answers here. I will find what I'm searching, and this is. I think this is a secret why people love India so much.
I think you're right. It is the secret. And it's also the surrender. I am glad you mentioned the bhakti and the just accepting what the universe gives with pure trust and devotion. For me too, I feel like India is the ultimate. Being in India is just complete surrender for me. Instead of trying to control the situation or, analyze or think, it's like you have to just release and be present and then allow what comes to come. I think it's so gorgeous, Ksenia, that you first found Rishikesh by just listening to the voice inside of you and hearing the words, "Go to where the Ganga begins." Oh my gosh, like that's so moving. Wow.
Really, but it was not my voice. The most beautiful part of it, that it was not me, and it was not even my subconscious. I know exactly that it was not my voice. And the thing is that as a practitioner of yoga, like as a follower of the spiritual path, I think you also believe, or maybe even know, yeah, certainly know that there are energies, subtle energies, which can basically lead us. They can tell us where to go and what to do. Just we need to be. You can say that we need to, first of all, yes, surrender and to accept that this can happen. That there is a voice which can come and tell you what to do. because it happened with me not once, but a few times in my life. There are angels, there are spirits, there are devtas, and they're all looking at us, watching, and they're leading us, and that's the beauty. Once we believe in this, we trust that it is there in the universe, that we are not alone, only human beings, but there are so many beautiful, interesting creatures in a subtler body, which can show us a path. I think life would become more interesting, you know.
Absolutely. Yes. So I did also want to ask you, Ksenia. So we talked a lot about, your journey as a yoga teacher and why you practice yoga and what yoga has changed and brought into your life. I would love to ask you why you teach yoga and what teaching yoga brings to you and to your students.
Thank you for this question. This is yeah, yoga. Yoga. First of all, for me, yoga is a spiritual path. It's not just the practice of some asanas or breathing exercise or meditation. They are tools, yeah. But we are all on this spiritual path. We are trying to reach the union with Supreme. And on this path, you are getting knowledge. Yes, the layer of Maya goes more thinner and thinner and thinner, and you're getting more idea and understanding what is the real reality instead of this Maya reality, illusionary reality, and who you really are instead of this egocentric idea of who you are, like you are this body, you are this mind, you are Ksenia, yoga teacher. So once this knowledge comes more and more and fulfilling you, out of love, out of it's like, for example, if um, if the sun rays will come inside the vase, yeah, the beautiful vase, which is empty inside, yes, which made of glass, and the vase starts shining. So this shine comes not from the vase. The shine came from the rays of sun, right? So the same about the knowledge of the true self, the same about that jnana which comes on this spiritual path. When it comes to you, you cannot stop yourself from not to share with others. Yes, and others, they also come to you because they feel this light, they feel this glory of true knowledge. So they come and they ask you questions. So it becomes very natural for you to share. All the times when I had to become a teacher, yoga teacher, or when I started um, even my Yogatoursindia mission, it happened not because I wanted, but people came to me. My first yoga student, she forced me to teach her in that my first school in Rishikesh. When I became a yoga teacher, they also forced me to teach. They actually said that you have to give this class, and I didn't want to. But I just said, okay, let's do it. So the nature and the life itself will show you what to do, I believe. And if you have something to share, it will come automatically out of you. So basically, if you have true knowledge or if you have some skills, not necessarily it's about spirituality, it can be any skills and any knowledge. We don't have rights not to give them to others because they are not our knowledge. We are not owners of this knowledge. We should be mediator. So knowledge comes to you and you have to give it to someone else as a mediator. So I take myself as a tool, so as a mediator, so I'm passing the knowledge. Whatever comes to me, I give to other people by request if they have this request.
No, that makes complete sense, that to be a conduit for the knowledge, to let the knowledge or the experience or whatever you have to share kind of pass through you. Because I love that you said, Ksenia, that you're not the owner. Yeah, that would be very egocentric to believe that we're the owner of these truths or these things that are beginning to realize in ourselves and in our practice or in our journey. So I think you said that really eloquently. So I know you've taught yoga all over the world, as I mentioned in your bio, but could you tell our listeners a little bit about what it's like to teach yoga in Russia, or what yoga in Russia is like?
Can tell mostly about the western part of Russia, like Moscow and St. Petersburg, because if you compare yoga practitioners or yoga development in all over the Russia, it would be hard because Russia is one of the biggest countries in the world, and far in the east, it's absolutely different. And in the east, I think people they are more closer to the roots, so they are, I believe, more spiritual because they're connected to their nature. And contrary in Moscow and St. Petersburg, as it's a big cities, people a little bit far from nature, so they take yoga in a very technical, very practical way, and they mostly do asanas, and very rarely they do meditation. And some of them, they still have this seed of bhakti, and they follow the Jnana Yoga, but very few, very few. So actually, this is a absolutely a normal situation all over the world. It's like this nowadays. People take yoga as an asana. People think that yoga is just to put your leg behind your ears and that's it. Um, uh, this is okay, and nothing wrong about that, because yoga, the real spiritual path of yoga, is a very sacral, and it's not for everyone, and it should be like that. And only the true seeker, he will go through all this, deep forests of asanas and breathing techniques, and maybe will find the jewel of true, authentic traditional yoga. So, as a yoga teacher, I believe we should attract people to yoga in all different ways. And if they want asana at the beginning, because I also came to yoga by doing asanas. For many years, I didn't know, until I didn't come to India, I didn't know what is real yoga. So this is not a bad thing to come to the authentic or the true knowledge with all wrong ideas. Anyhow, they will go away, and you will stay with what is it. You will skip what is it true. Yeah, you will stay with the true yoga. So we teach asana as well. There is no options. Teach. This is good to help people also they have many physical issues, psychic issues, emotional issues. So that elements of yoga they can help, and they can prepare the future practitioner for the spiritual path, because until you will not solve your physical issues, emotional issues, it's very hard to, like, it's almost impossible to go to deep spiritual practice. So we're trying to give traditional knowledge, but mostly we are still helping people with asanas and pranayama, and teach meditation as well on a very basic level. Yeah.
Yes, I've had the question before where people say, "Oh, are you frustrated when people come to your class and they just want it to be like a workout? They want the asana or the yoga class to just be very, hot and fast and athletic." And I've had other yoga teachers ask me, "Oh, does that like really bad? Does that make you mad or upset?" And my answer and how I feel about that is, you're welcome to come to yoga for no matter what, no matter what purpose or what calls you to the practice. I'm just glad you show up and you're curious and interested. And if I can plant seeds in you, or if you have receptive soil for those seeds to sprout, then that's beautiful. Or if you, over the years, slowly things will shift. I mean, of course, like everything's changing constantly, but I don't personally, I don't find it wrong to come to the yoga practice for any purpose. Do you feel the same?
Yes, I agree. I totally agree with you because as also, who are we to judge? Because everyone has its own very unique, very beautiful path on this earth in its own spirit. Yes, and we need to remember that each soul, each spirit here already did such a great, great long journey in many, many different costumes, in many different bodies, and different manifestations. So, who are we to judge? This soul did so much hard work to come maybe now on this yoga mat. And if you are, maybe you are thinking like me, you, or anyone, any teacher thinking, oh, I'm on a step higher. That's not for good because there is no higher, no lower. There is no hierarchy. A spiritual path. It's just spiritual path, and it's very personal for each. So that's beautiful if we can help, like if we can be a tool, if we can be a mediator of knowledge. That's it. Just basically what I believe. Um, as I do, I need to focus on my dharma and just keep doing my dharma. That's it, and focus on my path.
Again, you said that very well, and I agree. Focus on your dharma, on yourself, on your path, and look at others with that compassionate lens of, wow, you've already been through so much just to get here, and we don't know all of the we can't even imagine all of the past that has gone into it. So I'm glad you brought that up as well. So I would love to hear a little bit, Ksenia, about what you're offering, courses, trainings. Do you have anything in the works right now? Of course, our listeners will be listening to this episode as it's launched here in August 2021, but we might have listeners long into the future. So if there are any links or any places they can find you, that would be great to share as well.
Yeah, we do have many different programs starting from teacher training course, which are actually called as a teacher training course. Yeah, but they're for everyone. Also, and I prefer to call it transformative course because within 1 month, and if it's online program, 6 weeks, you learn about 15 different subjects regarding to yoga, and it really brings such a big change in a personality because you dive into yoga for these 6 weeks, or if it's an offline course for 4 weeks. And it's not anymore about to become a yoga teacher. It's about become a really good yoga practitioner. And we have many different programs, like short programs now, more online programs nowadays due to the worldwide situation. And some of them just for complete beginners, like breast detox. Like my husband now has created an amazing program of breast detox. He's giving also many courses for free. Like one of this program recently he started. These are free classes for ancient traditional yogic scriptures. So he's really teaching that traditional yoga, which is not even sometimes available in English. All the scriptures, they mostly written in Sanskrit and Hindi. So he's sharing this knowledge absolutely for everyone for free. That's amazing. And we have courses mostly in English and also with Russian translation. And I think with Spanish, yes, we have recently started more courses with translation into Spanish language. So many options. I cannot tell about all of them, But you can go on the website. That's we have English website yogavidyaschool.com, and for Russian speakers Yogatoursindia.org, or you can just come in Rishikesh and find out. We have a school there, so you can come and join any classes. About our courses and programs, you can find on my Instagram, Ksenia Rasapriya, or Prashant-ji Yoga Instagram. You can come, you can find.
Absolutely. And I will definitely link to everything here in the show notes, as well as on my website, wildyogatribe.com, and on all the social platforms for Wild Yoga Tribe too. So make sure that you definitely visit the show notes so you can link up with Ksenia and Prashant-ji and check out these offerings, because the chakra course, the breath tea talks, the TTCs, or those transformational TTC courses sound really incredible. So definitely don't miss out and check out the links below. All right. So I wanted to say, Ksenia, thank you so much for joining me and on this episode of the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. It has been a real joy to get to listen and share with you.
Lily, thank you so much. And thanks a lot for that great job which you are doing, because I think that's amazing that everyone now has this access to different interesting people, interesting masters of yoga and other fields of life, and they can share through your podcast their experience, their knowledge. That's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you everyone for tuning into this episode with Ksenia Rasapriya Bodhi from Russia. I really hope that you found this conversation to be just inspiring and something you can really think about and ruminate on and process, because we talked about some very powerful things, samskaras, and how yoga shapes and can kind of influence the course of your life. We talked about bhakti yoga and jnana yoga, and also about Swami Shivananda, which is also an important, amazing realized master of yoga, whose mission was to serve humanity through yoga. So that was really special that we got to talk more about all the topics today. And I hope, again, that you found this episode interesting. If you'd like to share it with someone you think could benefit from it, please do. And again, make sure to check out the show notes and link to Ksenia and her husband, Prashant-ji. Thank you and be well. Feel like getting social? Connect with me and the Wild Yoga Tribe on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Head on over to thewildyogatribe.com to tap into some pretty awesome resources. Meditate with me on Insight Timer, a free app on Apple and Android devices, and join me for a yoga class on YouTube. Jazz up your week and get a bit of yoga in your life. Remember to hit subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you feel called, please share this episode with someone that you think could benefit from it. Leaving a review would also be so appreciated. Thank you again, dear listener, for being with me. May your day be light and bright. May you be peaceful and happy and led on the right path, free of suffering and free of sorrow. Be well, dear one. Be well.